the Epic Storm. You don't see it every day. Goblins. Cephalid
Okay.
Breakfast against what's only been labeled as 4-color. I would guess that's 4-color mid-range control, what have you. There's actually 2 different kinds of 4-color overs. There's going to be the one that's going to be playing black. There's going to be one that's playing white. Here we see black 4-color decks in the hand of Mario Abreu and Mikel de San Roman. Cephalid Breakfast. Is there anybody up? No, this is the first game right now. This is our Timewalk match. We start on the most dreaded turn-one play out of Cephalid Breakfast, the
Yeah.
first combo piece.
It
And
is.
I hate this so much. Like,
It
when you
it
know you could be dead as turn 2, as soon as turn 2, what do? Apparently, you go for a brainstorm, you try to find some kind of interaction, and there's a scrapland, there's an underground sea. Please don't let this be another cantrip, because this, if I'm the separate breakfast player, I'm like, okay, they play another cantrip, yeah, they must be digging hard.
Oh wow. Yeah, this Nomads and core is like usually a small little stinker. It's like a 1-mana 1/1. But it just it does exactly what we talked about earlier, right? Like it threatens a turn to kill potentially. Doesn't have to. It maybe Michael doesn't even have anything, but just the Nomads just sitting in play, making sure that Mario really can't tap out for something that is not interaction.
Yeah, especially in the first game, right, where he's probably not going to have any kind of graveyard removal. And, I mean, Mikel can also like, go straight for it. You got it, you got it. And Mario has the swords, but now, we're not over. There could be force, there could be days. Mikel could also technically have maybe waited a turn if he had like another white source, which we're not sure about, to use that Orum's chant. Force. This is the Hulk, right?
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. And,
Step
and and
through.
and I like this a lot. Like a lot in game ones, you can kind of push forward with your combo decks because especially control decks don't always have all the tools to fight back, right? And this is like the classical combo of like the Nomads targeting the Cephalid Illusionist like multiple times. It does cost exactly 0 mana. So you can do it as often as you want. And basically you're gonna like mill out the whole deck, find a Thassa's Oracle, which you then dread return into play with no cards in the library.
By the way, we got a question about proxies. Yes, proxies are allowed. I believe there's gonna be we have a limit of 10 reserved list card proxies that you can bring to this tournament, because we all know Legacy these days is, to a lot of people, honestly, me included, it's prohibitively expensive. I have one deck and I just barely got there because it doesn't have a lot of reserved list cards. And I really, really appreciate this, that so many tournaments all across Europe, whether it's like the Eternal Legacy Masters, European Legacy, dude, seriously, I keep messing this up. The European Legacy Masters, the here Impact for also in Germany, a lot of tournaments. We are all doing like proxies because we want to get more people to play, and that's just where we need to be. And I think that's something we should like really, really push forward. Yeah. Mario just taking a look at the deck. Okay,
I mean
see what
this
they're working
yeah.
with
I mean
here.
this is like the one downside with all Thassa's Oracle decks. Your opponent usually gets to take a look at your almost your entire deck. Doesn't know what's in your hand, but you can kind of figure out what the deck is all about. Like we do see a Stoneforge Mystic, um, and a Retrofitter Foundry still, which you can get off Ursa Saga. But for example, there is no Staff of the Storyteller. Like that's really valuable information. There are no Baleful Strix or Ether Vials, I believe.
No, is there no Stoneforge as well? Oh,
Ah,
no,
the
Stoneforge. Okay,
Stoneforge is
okay,
there,
yeah.
yeah, but no Staff of the Storyteller. You know, and like especially for a control deck, that's so valuable information, and you get all the information basically for free in game number one, as long as you lose.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna like make sure that there's really nothing left in Mario's tank that can disrupt us. Oh, okay, no, we actually we have to Capel Therapy ourselves because we had the Oracle in hand. And otherwise we wouldn't be able to try to return it. So yeah, here you go. You know, sometimes it can be a problem if you have Oracle and Dread Return in hand and you have only a single Capel Therapy and no way to like, I guess, like shuffle it back into library. Yeah. Mario's just making sure, okay, you got everything you need. You mill yourself out, you Dread Return for the Oracle, and then you just get that. Yeah, Dread Return on the stack, and Mario packs it in. Oh, dude, you've played your fair share of Cephalid Breakfast. How do you like the matchup against 4-color?
Um, I'm honestly like not the biggest fan playing against a deck like four color that has Swords of Plowshares, Counter Magic, potentially discard, potentially Bowmaster. Like that card is a beating. Um, it's probably gonna be like a really interesting match, like a lot of interaction. Mikel went away with this, ran away with this game.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not going to be as easy in game number 2. Like we see like Hymto Torox, we do see Thoughtys, like Inquisition of Kozilek, I believe.
Whoa, what is the stack list?
Yeah,
Like,
this
like the traditional 4-color mid-range deck, that doesn't play him.
yeah,
Like,
but like hasn't it always had like a pretty greedy mana base?
yeah, it has a greedy mana base, but it doesn't play him as like never. Like 4-color mid-range, like no way. And now we got
And,
some of them in the sideboard. Okay.
and see, like doesn't even get punished because Mikel doesn't play any wastelands. It's an Ursa Saga deck. Ursa Saga and Esper
Yeah, it looks
colors is what this deck's doing.
yeah, like Mario's deck also like it looks to be much more of like a like I'm not even seeing any green stuff. Is this just like
Oh
Esper?
yeah. No,
Like I mean, if it's Esper, I can see it. Like Esper can play him sometimes.
oh, it's Esper Splash Red. So it's how do you even call this? Like dark Jeskai?
Jeskai. Is it well, how moist Mardu?
Moist Mardu.
We will see. Okay, but yeah, it's definitely gonna get somewhat easier for Mario. I don't know how much easier it's actually gonna be. Mikel's they're trying to find something. By the way, chat wants to buy some of your proxies, Kai. As proxies becoming ever more popular, chat already like Robert's your mother's brother. He's looking to get some Kai Savatar. Where can we get Savatarix tokens and proxies?
On Savatarix.com. Or you come to the event tomorrow.
Didn't you like have a promotion like 20% off on your website or something?
Yeah, that just ended yesterday.
Oh,
But you can still pick them up. And don't you worry, I might be doing something similar very soon. Also, a lot of people asked me to do an orc army token. So I might be down like painting.
honestly, I was gonna say like you should actually make one of those big paintings. You just did one for the Goblin Shaman, right? The Goblin Shaman token.
And this is like the first. This is the first event where those are available. I got a lot of them right here, and I'm so excited to have my booth tomorrow.
Do you have any idea what the theme is gonna be of your Goblin army? Is it gonna be like
Of the
like
orc army, you mean?
yeah. Goblins and orcs. It's all elves. It's all the same to me these days.
It's gonna be dark.
It's like
I'm feeling like dark, maybe some purples, something like that. But like overall, a pretty like.
You know what I would love to see like a theme where you capture like the masses of the orc army. Like I mean you usually like paint it like pretty abstract, right? You're like not trying to capture the exact same look of the orc army, but like something like a big horde of like dark stuff, like when you're in Helm's Deep and you look over the walls and they're just like
Oh, dude,
approaching.
yeah, stuff like that.
And you like you can't even see the individual anymore. It's just like all the orcs trying to get into your
It's like
fortress.
a hot mess. Yeah, I would take that.
Which is kind of like
I'll
funny
take that.
because most of the time the token is just like a 1/1 or a 2/2. It's just like okay, whatever. But
Yeah, what do you think, Chad? What's the average size of Orcish Bowmaster token? Do you think it's still like a 1/1 or 2/2, or can it like grow even bigger? Because
yeah.
we did see a 6/6 yesterday, for example.
Yeah, it's funny, right? You have these ideas of what like creatures of variable size. You still think of Tarmogoyf as a 4/5, right?
Oh yeah.
When I see Tarmogoyf, I think 4/5. Like most of the time, basically. These days, people are like, oh, with like bubbles and stuff. Very often it's a 5/6, and I can see that. But in my head, Tarmogoyf is a 4/5 for 2 mana, and I think that's also how people evaluate it in deck building. If it was like a 3/4 for 2 mana, we would not really see it all that much often. So let's see where this goes. Robert's your mother's brother saying, yeah, the average size of the orc army is a 2. Yeah, I think that's actually it's reasonable, right? Because people play it like in response to Ponder, and then it's a 2/2. Okay, we're just being told we're not sure if the live total is gonna be correct, but I guess we will just see it as we follow this match. This is one of our backup matches. We already saw Rodrigo Tagores win against Goblins in the second round, moving on to 2-0. This is an 8-round tournament. We have 175 players. Second biggest European legacy tournament of the year. I can only emphasize this again. And we are only really starting out making this an international thing. We are filling this with Spain, with Portugal, some players from France, these guys here from Germany. We had a lot of like Germans who were kind of wanting to come, but it was like too short notice for them. We like started promoting this like a couple of weeks, so like a month ago. I think the next one is going to be even bigger. And you know what I love about this?
Well,
When I go to Legacy tournaments, and it's not only like Legacy and good people, but also in a lovely area. Galicia, oh, me encanta.
oh yeah, it's a lot different than like most other places you might know, like such as Barcelona or Madrid. It is it's usually like pretty hot on in those areas, but Galicia is kind of the opposite. It's like the one of the cooler areas of Spain. And while it is still hot, it is not like scorching outside. You know, it's still okay.
I can see myself coming back to this place, even not for Legacy, just like to hang out, chill out. Like,
Oh
that
yeah.
is, sometimes when you go to places where you feel like, okay, this could be where I feel at home. Just like from the overall vibe, I very much get this feeling here. So, and speaking of seafood, by the way, Cephalid breakfast, the premier seafood deck of
That's
the.
like the most Spanish deck possible.
This is, well, yeah, I mean, it was created by a Spaniard, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know about
Kevin
that.
Dominguez.
Oh
Actually made
shit,
that deck.
yeah.
He
Okay.
made that deck.
That is so flavorful,
And
yeah.
he kind of brought it back. He wrote a very influential article on, I believe, Hallelujah. And that was like 2.5 years ago, where he talked about the deck, and like people read this and saw his results, and ever since the deck has been back.
That's
Like,
that's
I'm not
pretty
even sure
cool.
if he had actually like any relevant addition to the deck back then that put it back on the map. People were just like, this deck that used to be around in like Legacy 2000, I want to say like 2007, and then kind of faded away. 15 years later, we bring it back. This is Legacy for you.
That's awesome. You know, I there's like a similar thing going on in Japan where way too many people still play Merfolk and Legacy.
Really?
Yeah, and that's just
Oh,
like Japanese love fish so much that it just they have to play those true nemesis even after 10 years.
I mean, the only Legacy GP ever won by Murphy was won by a Japanese player, Tomo
There you
Hartstein.
go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, see,
Yeah, I remember that. That was a spicy deck with like a lot of like parishes in the
yeah,
sideboard.
yeah, you splash black for Parish. Also, like one copy of Nature's Ruin, just to get rid of all those like Maverick decks, all those perky green cards that you don't really want to see. Okay, and what do we see here? Like Mikel picking up Stoneforge Mystic and Caldera Complete. That resolves, and it looks like Mario is probably gonna drop a Teferi. I think we saw like 1 or 2 copies of Teferi in hand. There's also a Forceful in hand. Yeah, this very much looks like an Esper control deck. Oh yeah, and it looks like live totals are actually not being updated because this is the Timewalk match. They're gonna fix that one for the Timewalk match in the next round. Here we got both players at, I believe, 19. I'm trying to keep track of this. Yeah, Prismatic Ending taking out the Stoneforge. Not the end of the world for Mikel. He's got a second Stoneforge, which then can deploy Caldera Complete a turn afterwards.
Yeah. A little surprised to not see Teferi Time Raveler instead, which can, bounce the Stoneforge Mystic. But some Cephalid Breakfast decklists also do play a card like Daze. So it's, like unless you are on a significant amount of damage, I guess you can play around cards like that. But yeah, like so stoked to see some paper legacy. Like, we do like in our podcast we always cover like Magic Online challenge showcase results and things like that. But I'm telling you guys, like paper legacy kind of hits different
Yeah,
every single time.
I mean, in the end, that's at least how I treat it. Like all the stuff that's happening online, to me, that's just practice for offline.
Yeah.
Because like it just feels like offline is where it really counts to me. This is like where I wanna be, and this is where I wanna have like my best performances. And like the other day, I was playing like a 300 player Magic Online tournament. It didn't really feel like that, other than having to play 9 rounds. Okay, but overall, like this is just like the
Yeah.
real paper feeling that I wanna get when I play Magic.
Yeah, it hits different, doesn't it?
Very much so. By the way, very smart. Look at this. Mikel is going for the brainstorm into what could be Stoneforge. That way, he gets the shuffle effect of the Stoneforge and play brainstorm. So, if things work out for him, and I think he had like an Urza Saga here, which is like another great pickup, he could just like play straight. Yeah, he probably doesn't have to fear Days, right? Control deck's not exactly known to play Days. Mario could go for Force. I think it's much more likely Mario will go Chase Bounce.
Teferi probably, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. No Chase and Legacy anymore. Oh, we're actively going for the Force. Okay, sure.
I like this Forcible quite a bit because now Mario can go ahead and play this Teferi Time Raveler and bounce the Ursa Saga, which is only on the first chapter. as kind of like a tempo swing, but like bouncing and Ursa Saga
Ooh,
is quite decent actually.
that's gonna be such a great play. I hate it when it happens to me, seriously.
Yeah,
I hate it so much. Like your planeswalker's bouncing in my lands, dude. Like how is that even allowed to happen?
like it's not a stone rain, but it kind of feels like one,
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly feels like run,
right?
right? You lose your land drop, you don't lose the card, but then your opponent draws a card. So it's actually in a way actually feels worse than a stone rain.
Right.
Oh, by the way, okay, we're being told that live totals are working, but they are switched. So Mario is actually at 18 and Mikel is at 19, which yeah makes sense because Mario lost 2 life to a fetch land and the first of all. Okay, so we see another attempt for Mikel to actually stick something on the board and untap with it. What are we gonna do here for 3 mana? I mean, we're getting dangerously close to randomly just like playing the combo. Like there's nothing you can really like do other than I guess Mario has another force here.
Yeah, and
Didn't
also
he just like play force?
yeah,
Oh, he pitched a baleful
and
strings.
also picked up a surgical extraction, so not like that can be played under Teferi, no problem. No, yeah, there's just no opportunity for Mikel to
Okay, so he's
play
playing his
through.
own Teferi to protect his combo next turn, and that's also gonna make it so that the surgical is not gonna do anything. The force is also now stranded, so this looks very good for Mikel. Actually, are we already seeing the combo in hand? I think not, but the thing is, we can get very close to it because he still has that. No, he doesn't have a Stoneforge anymore, right? I thought, yeah, there's another Stoneforge in hand, so we can get Stoneforge, grab Shuko, and then use the Cephalid Illusionist to try and get there. Origami
Yeah,
comes down. Okay.
this is
Taking out the ferry.
isn't
Now all
th-
of a sudden.
isn't this like the very first Orcish bomb? No, we saw one in the first round, but
Okay. Yeah, true. But now Surgical has been unlocked again. Now Surgical can actually go after the combo. So Mikel
right.
is not protected anymore.
I'm telling you guys, like the Orcish Boma says, like one of the reason why Cephalid Breakfast got pushed from like tier 1 to maybe something like tier 1.5 or tier 2 even, like all the combo cards are so vulnerable to a Bowmaster effect. Like any cantrip Mikel plays is gonna basically just like get the sport gets machine gunned, right? By those Orc armies. And Mikel again is still the combo deck in his matchups. Like cannot really play a lot of removal himself. Um,
You know, I was wondering about that the ferry
this is
when it
tough.
actually ticked up. Well, I was actually wondering whether we actually we when it ticked down. Was there like a unless you really wanted the card? Because I was thinking like if you tick down, it dies to Bowmasters. You could have ticked up the ferry there.
You could have done that. Yeah. There's always the threat of prismatic ending.
Yeah, but then again, your
On
opponent taps like 3 mana. It's like, okay. But also, prismatic ending, I mean, you can't rule it out, but your opponent like forced your Stoneforge Mystic. So I feel like they probably don't have a second prismatic ending.
yeah, that's a good read. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would feel pretty confident about ticking up there. But okay, so we pick up the Shuko. We equip the Shuko. Now we got the Choo-Choo. Hey, make your own bear. And we pick up a Swords and Plowshares. Uh, Mikel does have another Teferi in hand, so we can try and slowly build up to the combo. So he can actually, if he finds another land, he can actually drop his own Teferi and then get the Cephalid Illusionist down. At that point, he only really loses to, let's say, Fairy Macabre, but I mean, you have to lose in some way, I guess. Oh, Dread Return in hands, okay. So we will have to Chemotherapy ourselves once again. By the way, you know what I love? When people want to play around like Graveyard Hate, they just use Step Through, cycle it to find the Oracle, and then you mill yourself. Doesn't really matter because you play Oracle from hand.
Yeah.
The only way this can go wrong is if you mill yourself, and while you mill yourself, you mill a second Oracle if you have one, and they surgical it.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That can happen.
That's very possible.
And here we go. This is what we talked about, right? You pick up the 5th land, and we can go for the combo. At this point, it's really only Fairy Macabre or bust. And it looks like Mikel, the graphics on screen are wrong. Mikel is actually up a game. And he might also just pick up the second one, unless Mario has something to say about this. He's got the surgical. Yeah, there's nothing really you can surgical before the Teferi comes down. Yeah. At this point, we're really only waiting for the cable therapy ourselves, and win.
Maybe like as soon as we get some Narcomoebas in the battlefield,
Yeah.
might be ready to.
You're gonna need all three of them though. But I mean,
Mhm.
you probably don't side out any copies. Yeah, there's the third one, and that should give him the win.
Yeah. Mario's probably saying, okay, well, if you got just show me. Okay, so the Cabal Therapy is in the graveyard, but we keep going.
This is pretty easy now at this point. Okay, Kai. So you already mentioned, right? Cephalid Breakfast not as good anymore as Bowmasters. You actually own that deck. Do you still take it to tournaments, or do you not really feel good about it?
I gotta be honest with you, I haven't played a single game of Cephalid Breakfast after they released the Orcish Bowmaster because I was way too busy playing Orcish Bowmaster myself. um, and this game clearly like showcases the power of Teferi Time Raveler still. Like that card is just undeniably good in this thing in particular because everything Teferi does is so good for Cephalid Breakfast, right? The protection mode is insane. Bouncing a hate permanent is also very valuable. Um, it has like a built-in card advantage machine and like it just almost does everything you want. Pitches to force and yeah, just overall a great card in this deck.